A father's bond with his daughters is supposed to be a fortress of love and protection. He's their hero, their confidant, their safe harbor. In photos and home videos, you can see that bond in the bright, trusting eyes of 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker. Their smiles, aimed at their father, Travis, are full of the easy, unconditional love that only a child can give. But what happens when that fortress crumbles? When the person they trust most in the world becomes their greatest danger? This is the heartbreaking story of the Decker sisters, and a father's court-ordered visit that ended in an unimaginable tragedy at a remote campground. It left a family shattered and an entire community searching for answers in the haunting silence left behind. In the close-knit community of Wenatchee, Washington, the Decker family was, for a time, just like any other. Travis Decker and Whitney Decker had built a life together, bringing 3 beautiful daughters into the world. Their home was filled with the kind of joyful chaos that only 3 young girls can create. The oldest, 9-year-old Peyton, was the thoughtful and compassionate one. She was a budding compliment giver, someone who went out of her way to make others feel seen. Whether at the grocery store or at school, she'd find something kind to say, often telling her mother, "You look so beautiful, Mom." She was the kind of child who noticed the little things, who seemed to carry a deep understanding of how powerful a kind word could be. Then there was 8-year-old Evelyn, or Evie, the family's vibrant and expressive fashionista. She had an eye for color and style and would have been mesmerized by a crowd of people, oohing and ahhing over their outfits. Evie was also the more introspective of the sisters, a little more reserved. She needed quiet, one-on-one time to share her feelings, but she had a deep well of emotion just beneath the surface. And finally, there was little Olivia, the baby of the family at just 5 years old. She was the embodiment of pure, uncomplicated joy. While her older sisters were learning to navigate the complexities of their feelings, Olivia's world was simpler. When asked how she felt, one answer was almost always guaranteed: happy. Together, they were a trio of light. They were sisters, teammates, and best friends. Their days were filled with school at Lincoln Elementary, playing with friends, and participating in sports and dance. For their mother, Whitney, they were everything. The bond they shared was palpable, a testament to a mother's deep and abiding love. They were, by all accounts, amazing little humans, just beginning to make their mark on the world. But behind the facade of this seemingly ordinary family, fractures were beginning to form, cracks that would soon rupture and unleash a torrent of pain that no one could have seen coming. The picture of a happy family began to dissolve when Whitney and Travis Decker's marriage ended. Divorce is painful for any family, but for the Deckers, the separation brought a new level of concern. Court-ordered visitations became the new normal. Travis, however, was struggling. In the months leading up to the tragedy, he was living a transient life, reportedly homeless and staying in his white GMC pickup truck, or sometimes at motels and campsites in the area. His financial situation was also crumbling. Friends and family noted that he was stressed about money. A recent ticket had become a huge burden, and his wages were being garnished for back child support. This financial pressure, combined with his unstable living situation, painted a picture of a man under immense strain. But the concerns ran deeper than money. Whitney, the person who knew him best, had growing fears about Travis's mental state. She would later tell investigators that he was currently experiencing some mental health issues. When he arrived to pick up the girls for their final visit, she noticed he was quieter than usual. It was a subtle shift, but it was deeply out of character and set off a quiet alarm bell for her. In hindsight, it was a heavy, ominous sign of the darkness that was gathering. Travis Decker wasn't just a father under duress. He was also a man with a dangerous skill set. He was an Army veteran who had served as an infantryman from March 2013 to July 2021. He deployed to Afghanistan and had extensive training in wilderness survival and navigation. Authorities noted he had once spent more than 2 months living completely off the grid, a testament to his ability to survive and hide in rugged terrain. This background, once a source of pride, would soon become a terrifying factor. In the days leading up to that final, fateful weekend, there were even more disturbing signs, hidden in Travis's digital footprint. On Monday, May 26th, just 4 days before he picked up his daughters, he made a series of Google searches. How does a person move to Canada? How to relocate to Canada? And Jobs Canada. He even visited a website for finding employment in Canada. Was he planning a new life? Or was he planning an escape? The legal system, designed to protect children, proceeded as usual. The court had mandated a visitation schedule. On Friday, May 30th, 2025, Travis Decker arrived at Whitney's home around 5 p.m. to pick up Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. The visit was supposed to last for just 3 hours. As Whitney watched her 3 girls leave with their father, she could never have imagined she was seeing them alive for the very last time. The hours ticked by on Friday evening. 8 o'clock, the scheduled return time, came and went. The silence in Whitney Decker's home grew heavier with each passing minute. She tried calling Travis, but her calls went straight to voicemail, each unanswered ring amplifying her growing dread. Finally, around 9:45 p.m., with her daughters almost 2 hours late, Whitney did what any terrified parent would do. She called the police and reported her children missing. She explained the situation, the 3-hour visit, the missed return, the unanswered calls. Crucially, she shared her concerns about Travis's recent behavior and mental health. This wasn't just a parent running late. This was different. This was frightening. The Wenatchee Police Department and the Washington State Patrol immediately began investigating. The first clue came from a sighting. Around 5:40 p.m., not long after he picked up the girls, Travis's white GMC pickup was seen heading west on US 2, away from the city and toward the vast wilderness of the Cascade Mountains. An endangered missing person alert was issued on Saturday, May 31st. The alert broadcast the girls' descriptions, along with details of their father and his truck. Across Washington, people were on the lookout, but as Saturday turned into Sunday, there was still no sign of them. The hope that had buoyed the community began to curdle into a collective fear. The search focused on remote areas where Travis was known to frequent. The area was a vast maze of forested mountains and dirt roads with patchy cell service. Then, on Monday, June 2nd, came the breakthrough everyone had been dreading. At around 3:45 p.m., a Chelan County Sheriff's deputy spotted the vehicle. Travis Decker's unoccupied white GMC pickup was found near the Rock Island campground, deep in the Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest. It's about 17 miles up Icicle Creek Road from the town of Leavenworth, a place where the pristine beauty of nature masks a profound isolation. There's no cell service there. The discovery of the truck triggered a massive law enforcement response. Officers swarmed the area and began searching the immediate vicinity. It didn't take them long. Not far from the abandoned truck, they made the discovery that would shatter a family and a community forever. They found the bodies of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker. The scene was one of calculated cruelty. The official autopsy would later confirm the horrific details. The cause of death for all 3 girls was suffocation, and the manner of death was ruled a homicide. Each of the little girls had had plastic bags placed over her head, their small wrists bound with zip ties. The investigation revealed a chilling level of determination. 2 of the girls had 2 separate bags over their heads, while the third had 3. Nearby, discarded cable ties were scattered on the ground. The Washington State Patrol quietly canceled the endangered missing person alert that evening. For a few hours, the public was left wondering what it meant. The devastating confirmation came the next day, June 3rd, when the Wenatchee Police Department announced the news everyone had feared. The 3 missing sisters were gone. Travis Decker, the man who was supposed to protect them, was nowhere to be found. He was now the sole suspect in the murder of his own children, a fugitive who had vanished into the dense wilderness he knew so well. With the horrifying discovery at the campground, the mission for law enforcement changed. The search for 3 missing girls became a massive manhunt for a man wanted on 3 counts of first-degree murder. The name Travis Decker was no longer just a missing father. It was the name of an accused killer. At the crime scene, The investigation quickly pointed to Travis as the only suspect. The Washington State Crime Lab analyzed the evidence, the plastic bags, the cable ties, and other items. The results were damning. Besides the DNA of the three little girls, the only other DNA profile found belonged to Travis Decker. He had acted alone. Blood samples taken from his truck's tailgate also came back as a positive match for male DNA, further cementing the case against him. The manhunt was a monumental undertaking. Local, state, and federal partners, including the U.S. Marshals Service and the FBI, joined the search. The Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest is a vast expanse of rugged, steep terrain, thick with brush and a network of dirt roads with no cell service. Authorities knew that Decker, with his military and survivalist training, was uniquely equipped to disappear. As Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison put it, Decker was a trained survivalist, but he had a lot of people hunting for him. He had to be perfect every single day. Law enforcement only had to be perfect once. Helicopters scanned from the air while K-9 units and tracking teams combed the wilderness on the ground. Swift water rescue teams searched Icicle Creek, checking under log jams and in deep pools. Over the summer, the search involved thousands of hours from hundreds of personnel. Numerous tips poured in from a public on high alert, but they all led to dead ends. A hiker thought to be Decker near Kolchuk Lake turned out to be someone else. Another potential sighting led to a man who simply disliked law enforcement and ran. As the search dragged on, the FBI took the lead in late August, bringing in even more resources. They launched a massive, multi-day grid search of a quarter-mile radius around the crime scene, based on data from similar cases where a suspect remains close. Nearly 100 agents conducted a step-by-step search, closing nearby campgrounds and trails. Still, Travis Decker remained a ghost. While the search continued, the community of Wenatchee was drowning in grief. Ribbons in the girls' favorite colors, purple for Olivia, pink for Evelyn, and green for Peyton, were tied around trees, a vibrant, heartbreaking tribute. Wenatchee police officers wore these same colors on their mourning badges. A memorial of flowers, stuffed animals, and notes grew, a physical manifestation of the community's shared sorrow. The tragedy also sparked calls for change, with some questioning why an Amber Alert hadn't been issued sooner. It was a painful question in a tragedy already full of them. Could this have been prevented? For law enforcement, the motivation was clear. Sheriff Morrison said, "It motivates us. It pushes us." They were determined to bring answers to Whitney and her family. The U.S. Marshals offered a $20,000 reward. But as summer faded and leads grew cold, the question of whether he'd be found alive became more and more uncertain. In the weeks after her daughters were found, Whitney Decker was shielded by the love of her family and community. But on June 20th, 2025, she made her first public appearance at a memorial service at Rocky Reach Park. In front of a crowd of thousands, Whitney found the strength to speak. Her words weren't filled with anger, but with a mother's enduring love. Her voice trembled, but it was clear. "You all look beautiful," she said, "and I know that Evie would have loved to ooh and ah over all of your outfits." She spoke of Peyton's kindness, how she would have found a compliment for every single person there. Then, Whitney shared something deeply personal. She spoke of a bedtime routine she created called the 3 Feelings. She explained that after her divorce, she had worked with therapists to develop this practice to help her 3 small, tiny women navigate a lot of complex emotions. Each night, she'd ask them to share 3 feelings they had that day and what was happening when they felt them. For Peyton, Whitney shared, she always had more than 3, consistently eager to tell me about every minute of her day. Evie, more private, would share her feelings one-on-one at bedtime. And for little Olivia, one feeling was always there: happy. Whitney admitted that even when she tried to avoid sharing her own feelings, her daughters wouldn't let her. "Wait, Mom, you didn't tell me what yours were," they'd say. Through her tears, she expressed her gratitude. "I'm so thankful for the time that I had with the girls," she said, and how the 3 feelings allowed us to connect when the world slowed down. She ended her powerful speech with a plea. She encouraged everyone to adopt their own version of the three feelings with their loved ones. And then she said, "I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever." They were incredible. The community responded with overwhelming support. A GoFundMe campaign raised over $1 million. Wenatchee's mayor, Mike Poirier, said he could never look at the colors purple, green, and pink again without thinking of what those girls went through, noting that the horrific tragedy had brought out the best in people. The manhunt, however, continued to loom over everything. Months passed. Then, on September 25, 2025, authorities announced that human remains had been found in a remote, wooded area. DNA testing confirmed what many had begun to suspect. The remains belonged to Travis Decker. The manhunt was over. With his death, the legal case was dismissed. There would be no trial, no public accounting for his actions. For some, it might have felt like a hollow victory, but for the family and community, it brought a crucial piece of closure. The search was over. All that was left was to remember. The story of the Decker sisters is a painful reminder of life's fragility and the strength of a community. If you've been touched by their story, please consider sharing your thoughts respectfully in the comments. These conversations help us all process difficult events and honor the victims. And if you appreciate in-depth, respectful storytelling, please subscribe for more. Conclusion. The legacy of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker isn't defined by how they died, but by the brilliant, beautiful way they lived. It lives on in the memory of Peyton's kindness. It shines in the memory of Evie's vibrant spirit, and it echoes in the memory of Olivia's pure, uncomplicated happiness. Their legacy is carried forward by a mother's incredible grace in the face of unimaginable loss, and in a community that wrapped itself in purple, pink, and green, refusing to let their memories fade. Plans were even made for scholarships in the girls' names, ensuring their passion for sports and dance would help other children for years to come. The story of the Decker sisters is one of ultimate betrayal, but it's also a story of profound love, a mother's unbreakable bond with her children, and the indelible mark that three incredible little girls left on the world. Their lights were extinguished far too soon, but the warmth they brought will be felt forever. Please subscribe, like, or comment, and thank you for watching.